Right, so day 4, Romford Horrific, the final day, 2026, and we have been showing throughout the day. We are showing the first season of a set of shorts called H.E.X.A.G.O.N, and I'm now sitting with the crew and some of the cast of H.E.X.A.G.O.N. So do me a favour, let's go down the line, introduce yourselves, not that you need to introduce yourself anymore, you've done about 20 of these this weekend.
I do apologise.
That's fine, we love it. So you will be hearing about his Patreon very soon. Let's go down the line, say who we are and what we did on this project.
Hello, my name is MJ Dixon and I am the director and co-writer of H.E.X.A.G.O.N.
Hello, my name's Jack Granville. I was the co-writer, producer, and because I'm a glutton for punishment, I was also playing Marksman in H.E.X.A.G.O.N.
Hello, I am Donal McLaughlin and I play Francis Harley and didn't really do a lot to be honest with you.
Hello, I'm Ali Wilson and I played Ross the Sandman.
Hi, I'm Ellia Wilson and I just played an extra violin because he's my dad.
I am Moray Binfield and I played Boo Boo on this.
So first off, what was the initial inspiration for this new series that you're making? Where did it come from? Was there a theme you wanted to explore? Was there a scene you had in mind? Basically, where did it start?
I think, so like years ago when we started kind of doing like the expanded universe stuff, we have a character in H.E.X.A.G.O.N called Francis Harley, who's like the big bad guy behind everything, and there was kind of like an interesting idea to kind of really like explore his backstory, but the history of the micro universe is kind of just really like a mirror image of like the history of the horror genre. So like if you went back to the 1950s, they'd be fighting big mantises, and you know, if you went back to the 1930s, they'd be fighting like Count Dracula or whatever. And so we kind of thought, well, because Slasher House is like the big franchise that we have, let's explore the kind of history of slasher movies, but through like a G.I. Joe kind of Saturday morning cartoon style like series. Well, originally it was going to be a movie, and then because I got so busy with like the Cleaver stuff kind of took off, and then the Pandemonium stuff took off, and so I got so busy kind of running down those paths that this script that I had kind of ended up by the wayside. And then when we did Slasher House 3, Jack was played Neville Barrington.
I did, and a H.E.X.A.G.O.N agent.
And that's kind of...
As one of the extras.
Yeah, that's kind of what inspired it, I guess, is Jack kind of came to me after and said, oh, I had like an idea about that H.E.X.A.G.O.N stuff, like, you know, and a character for that, and like, and he pitched me like a really cool idea that...
Like, you're too kind.
That is that it starts out in this series about a character called Marlowe, the Marksman.
My own character, yeah, I pitched that.
And I said, well, actually, I had something really similar that I wrote a few years ago, and so I kind of sent him the script over, and he said, why don't we like turn this into like something? And we went, okay, well, why don't we do it? I've always really liked comic books, obviously, as you might be able to tell from the way that I like my films, like so garishly. But one thing I always loved about comic books is you get to the last page and like, you know, Juggernaut would smash through the wall and be like, oh, now you must face the almighty Juggernaut or whatever. And I always loved that feeling of like getting in and going, I can't wait to find out what happens next. But making feature films, you don't really get to do that. And so it was like, well, let's scratch that itch with like a series, and we can do like cliffhangers and, you know, and tell a cool story, and we can kind of maybe tell a more expanded story than we usually could have. And yeah, I found it was a good format to kind of start working in. But
yeah. I mean, we. I mean, I had no idea that this whole thought process had like script and everything that MJ had. I just came to him after I think it was viewing Slash House 3. I think it was here actually. I came up to you and I said, I've got this idea, origin story for a character, and then he was like, get back to me on it, like, you know, write out some stuff, send it over. So I. When my original plan was like a squad-based thing anyway, and then like, so when I sent it over to MJ, he was like, well, actually, we can marry these two ideas quite perfectly together. And the idea of doing a series rather than a film, I Was that your idea? It might have been.
Well, for a while we've been kind of pitching the idea of doing, to distributors, of doing like online content for their socials, which would be short 10, 15-minute pieces that then, when they were done, they could release as like a DVD, you know, as a movie, or you could cut them all together and release them as a film. So we went around pitching that, but just no one got it at all. They were all like, well, why would anyone want to buy something if it's free on, you know, like, and so, but like I was convinced it was a good idea, like that, you know, eventually you could have like a movie out of this thing if you made enough parts of it. So so that's where it started really. And then I think also we have, first mention, a Patreon at patreon.com/Mycho, M-Y-C-H-O. And we make a lot of short film content there, and so it kind of seemed like a really good fit for that, because it meant that we could kind of hit our short film kind of ethos of that, because that's why it was set up to, so we could make short films in between the features. But also we could kind of treat them as short films, but you know, still release them on our Patreon, so that people who subscribe to it can kind of get it first and all that stuff, and help us make it. And so yeah, it was it kind of made sense from like that point of view. Rather than spending a year trying to like put it together as a movie, let's go and spend like a month shooting it as short films, and then we can just go and we can release it over kind of several months as a show.
Yeah.
And how did we get the rest of our cast involved? What was the pitch? What made you want to come and play in the sand with these boys?
So we won't go way down the line, so...
Yeah.
I want to be a superhero.
Excellent reason.
I heard it seemed like a good, when I saw the listing on one of the casting sites, it just seemed like a really fun role to play. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to either be a superhero, super soldier, or just some sort of dark, moody guy. And
I think we ticked all of those.
well, yeah, we did. So we had to go. I mean, maybe we'll make improvements on the character himself next season. Like me, I mean, not you.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh, right,
My
yeah.
acting.
Not the character, like on you personally.
Yeah.
Don't listen to me, he's fishing for compliments. It's don't. Yeah, and we actually, Harley was really hard to cast, like, because as an existing character, MJ was incredibly fussy.
I just figured I was the only one who auditioned.
Well, you weren't.
Thank you.
I actually applied for Bannister Doll Heist as one of the, it was Frank, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
One of the sort of villains, I guess, because I really like the idea of playing villains. They're just a lot of fun. But that part had already been cast, so MJ was like, actually, you're a perfect fit in this, as this character. And I had a look at it, and he also seemed like an arsehole. And I thought, yeah, that...
Me, not the character.
Yeah, no, you're lovely. No, MJ is lovely. I don't want to have anyone say anything different. But yeah, and it was a blast. Thanks for having me on board. Your turn.
I mean, he just kind of texted me and was like, do you want to be a redneck in a film? And I said yes. That's kind of it. I didn't have to audition or anything. I was just kind of in it.
And now, since then, you have died how many times in films?
In these ones,
Yeah.
I think I've died 7 times in 3 films.
Wow.
So, as different characters.
Excellent work.
Go.
Yeah, I've just been working with Mycho for a few years, and MJ thought I want quite good for the role, so he asked me to do it, and I thought, well done.
Murray's doing himself an injustice, but
First of all, it was me.
yeah, I've known Murray for what 12 years now, I think. We met on Eileen Daly's film Witch's Brew, and yeah, we've been friends ever since, really. And but we were working on something else, and Murray usually plays like, you know, bar patron 1 or something in our movies, and he he was playing a vampire, I think, and I just. Like, he really threw himself into it, and you know, when you just kind of go, I should just give Murray more to do, really. Like, you know, he's always there and hanging out with us, you know, to begin with, and it's nice to give him a character. And as you can see, in everything that he's ever in, he steals the show. So
I kind of said that in She's a Bitch yesterday. I was kind of like, yeah, that one scene just absolutely, well, he's in a lot of it, but that scene with it just awkward glance and, yeah man, smashed it. One of the things I love about my Go projects is a lot of the time it's creativity over budget, and it has to be that way, I guess. And with H.E.X.A.G.O.N, I think your command centre, which is obviously like a practical thing you built, is awesome. It looks great. Can you tell us a little bit about how you build that and how you make these things?
So on /House3, we spent about £1,000 or plus on little pet panels for putting your hamster in, with the idea that we could potentially build an infinite set from it, because we couldn't afford to build like a physical set, because the big problem we had is the studio we use is like a day-by-day rental. So if we tried to build a set in there, we had to pay to have that space basically like the whole time, for building it, for taking it down. So we tried to figure out a way where we could basically Lego build a set every single day. And like the first time me and Murray did it, it took us 15 hours. And now, because I've basically trained everybody how to put this thing together, we can build one in about 15 minutes. So we spent a lot of money on that for /House3, and so I was like, I'll be damned if we're not going to get our use out of this. And so I was like, well, if we make a /House prequel series, then we have to use it. It just makes so... I mean, in reality, if I had unlimited money, we would have really leaned into much more kind of authentic 70s kind of architecture and stuff. But as it goes, you've got to work with what you've got, and we have a bunch of pet panels.
Timeless quality to those pet panels.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Can anybody think of anything on set when you were filming this project, or these projects, because we're showing the three of them today, something that you will take away with you from forever, like something you maybe learned on set, or a good time that you had, just some behind the scenes kind of thing?
I learned how to film running through a jungle with a very small amount of space.
It's very true.
Basically around in a circle.
It's a good trait to have.
Well, there's a number of things I'll take away from it. First of all, part of that table in the office, because I broke it by accident, putting it together. I think a wheel came off, and I think I still have it somewhere.
We have a load of ball bearings fell out of this table, and we didn't know where they went, and we were just like, let's just put it back and hope that no one ever notices.
Yeah, so there's that. But also, H.E.X.A.G.O.N, first time producing on a film. So a whole new experience in that I only had a frame of reference from other producers that I'd seen. Shout out to Martin in the audience, because I definitely was taking notes from Martin producing on stuff, and then putting my own spin on it as well. And I didn't know at the beginning. I didn't know how much went into it, like how much you had to do as a producer, a line producer at that. But apparently I was doing something right. I got some nice feedback from cast and crew about scheduling and just generally good vibes. So
your cooking.
And my cooking, thank you. Yeah, I cooked some stuff.
It's very important.
Army munches on its stomach. Film crew, basically the same.
Anyone else?
I had an interesting experience with one of the fight scenes. The fight scene in episode 2 that was in the garden at night, because it was at night. My character is wearing goggles that have a red lens, but the lighting for the scene was blue light. What that means is that I had nothing but total darkness. I couldn't even see by normal ambient light. It was completely pitch black. And at the start of each take for the fight, I had to try and get a bearing by getting Thomas, who was playing the menace, to wave the knife enough that I could just about make out the outline of the knife, and then that was my bearing for the start of the fight choreography. And then charge in for the rest of it, just flailing limbs, just hoping no one got injured, and that somehow it looked serviceable on camera, and somehow we managed to get through that with no one dying, no one getting maimed. In fact, I think pretty much we hit our markers every take. And I'm like, wow. Even to the point where one bit in the fight, he kicks me and then I double over and he uppercuts me. And at first he was trying to be nice, and I was like, no, I need something to react to. So I was like, actually kick me so I have to double over, so that then I know the next cue is an uppercut, and I can throw myself backwards. And I remember the feeling of the fabric of his boiler suit or jumper, like brushing my nose. And I was like, oh, there you go. I've got that nice and close enough, you know. So yeah, that was fun times.
You did it so well that we then did it again for the final fight 2 nights later.
Yeah.
I thought, he'll be fine going downstairs blind.
Yeah.
We had to take one of Murray's lenses out so he could see to run down the stairs. And then strategically light it so that the shadow was on that eye so you couldn't see that it didn't have a lens in it.
Have you got?
Well, I was only there for like one night, and I was an extra, so I wasn't really doing much except throwing myself on the floor and dying. That's basically all I do in any of these films, just die over and over again. But
We all started somewhere.
so something that was funny, in my opinion, was when me and him were supposed to be dead, because he was also an extra at one point, was he was laying in front of me and he kept flashing the torch at me, but obviously we were laying on the ground, supposed to be dead, and I had to try and tell him to stop without like actually hitting him, because that's just what he usually does, punch this guy. And at one point I just went, "Father!" And then everyone just started saying "father" over and over again in really posh manners. So you know, I'm just an icon for that, I guess. Father.
Yeah, you definitely set yourself up for that one.
I spent a lot of time in the second episode running around in the dark with these welding goggles on, trying not to fall over. That's quite good fun. We were running down the streets.
Oh yeah, so much running down the streets that ended up on the cutting room floor.
So I'm going to throw it out to the audience, but we don't have a microphone, so you will have to throw your voice a bit. Do we have any questions? Yep, we've got somebody at the back.
One sec.
Oh, he's got a
Oh,
microphone.
there's a microphone.
That'll be the last question, by the way. So the holds are at the door.
I'll decide.
What was the most challenging stunt or effect to do on low budget with that wasn't the lenses of total darkness?
I think for me, we did Jack's tape. When Jack got thrown over the table, we spent ages really figuring that out. And then I remember me going, "I'll show you how to do it," and in my mind thinking, "I have no fucking idea how to do this." And I just did this like flying roll and just prayed to God that my body would be like react and actually do it. And I did it, and I was like, "See, yeah, that's how easy that is, Jack." And then he had to do it.
I think I nailed it first time.
He did. It's very good.
I remember when you did that, and I was well impressed.
Thank
you.
you.
Pulled that out of thin air,
Yeah.
and I was like,
I had no idea I could actually do it. I just
Completely
kind of
unannounced.
threw myself into it. And
I think some of us were mid-conversation and he just threw himself on the ground and was like, oh, that, okay, cool.
Now also on Patreon is MJ's Stunt Academy.
There you go.
Actually, we can't let this go without mentioning Scythe's hat.
Yes.
That was the most problematic piece of costume. It fell off every take. Scythe also doesn't have anything to put their swords in, so that was all pretend. That was usually me hiding off camera, holding a sword up for them to take. And yes, there were a number of outtakes of the fight scenes where the hat falls in front of their face.
Every scene we did with the ninja, he would go, "You're writing the hat out of like the next set of episodes." Like, so, yeah.
So I'm going to end with this one because I love these. Well, I've only seen the first one, to be honest, but I'm going to try and watch all 3 of them tonight because you only sent us the first one. However, I do love that first one that I watched, but there's one thing I do hate about it. There's just no puppets. 100% less puppets than any other thing you've ever made.
True.
So, if you could go back and reshoot all of these episodes and replace one of your characters with a puppet, and I want an answer from everyone, which character would it be?
I would, for me, I think it would probably be Jack, but I'd force him to operate the puppet and still do all the voices and everything, just so it made his life a little bit harder on set, I think.
Thanks, I needed that. Can I be a bit contrary and say I'd like to go Muppet style and have them all be puppets apart from Harley? I think that would be genius.
Even better. I like it.
I was just going to say Scythe because I think it would interesting to see doing all the ninja with a puppet.
I'd actually go for Vixen. Simply because there's a whole sort of, it's not fully apparent yet, but there's like a little love triangle thing between the leader, me, and Vixen. And I just think if Vixen was a puppet, that would be...
Like if she was like Miss Piggy or something.
Like, yeah,
that'd be great.
That would be so...
Like
she's
a
Muppet.
That would be so
Muppet,
amazing. That'd be great.
That would be my, yeah.
No, I mean specifically she'd have to be Miss Piggy. Like,
Oh, okay.
I have no idea. I just don't know. Okay, I wasn't expecting that.
To see Count Dracula now. Is that Count Dracula the Muppet? The vampire?
The Count.
The Count, the Count, yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be quite good if the general was, that we would all be taking
yeah.
instructions from a Muppet or puppet or something.
That would be a very clever sort of, analogy of life, like we're all being managed by Muppets.
Like taking instructions from Beaker or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. Right, guys.
So,
Thank you so much for submitting H.E.X.A.G.O.N to us and all the other Michael productions that you've submitted to us this year as well. Thank you for being here most of all. Pimp your Patreon one more time and then we'll get a round of applause.
So we are working on a season 2 that kind of delves in, like I say, the whole thing's like a history of the slasher kind of genre, but in the guise of kind of a G.I.G.O. Saturday morning kind of cartoon. So next season we're going to move into kind of Freddy Krueger territory.
1980s.
But the only way we can really do this is with support from our Patreon, which is patreon.com/Myco, M-Y-C-H-O. And it's just that's how we make it all just really with like donations and our own money, and we have some help along the way from a handful of kind people, but it really all is just a labour of love, and everything is built by us, just using the funds that we gather from the Patreon. And if you do subscribe to Patreon, you get all the episodes whenever you want them, and you get all the episodes first before even people get to see them at film festivals and stuff. You get a preview of all the stuff, because as far as we're concerned, if you're on the Patreon, you're one of the producers on the show. And so we just kind of treat it like that. It's really, that's the most important thing really, is that finding a way to get these things made. And so every bit of support is great. And also, if you haven't seen the show, because I know a lot of people have come in for the next screening during this, it is on at 9:45 tonight, all 3 episodes back to back. And I promise it is a fun, good time, and I genuinely do think it's probably some of the best stuff we've ever made. Please check it out.
I concur with that. Episode 1 is absolutely fantastic, and I'll be checking the other 2 out. Can we please get a round of applause?